Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Classic Comics. The comic sales rankings for 2023 are now available online. Now, these aren't exact numbers, mind you. Those numbers aren't made available to the public anymore the way they used to be. Gee, I wonder why that might be. This is on comicbookrevolution.com. These rankings reveal some interesting information. And the big takeaway from all this really is that DC Comics sales are in an absolute free fall. They really can't reliably sell anything anymore that isn't Batman. Now, let's just go ahead and get into it here. With 2023 in the rearview mirror, it is time to sift through all the single issue comic sales rankings and come up with some final numbers. First, let's look at how many top 10, top 25, top 50, top 75, and top 100 titles that each publisher had in 2023. The battle for the top 10 throughout 2023 has essentially been Marvel Comics kicking sand in all of the other publishers' faces every month. Marvel Comics managed to score an impressive total of 76 issues in the top 10 during 2023. DC Comics came in a distant second by placing 34 issues in the top 10. There were no other comic book publishers that played a relevant role in the top 10 during 2023. The top 10 remains the province of Marvel Comics and DC Comics. Marvel Comics also enjoyed supreme dominance in the battle for the top 25 every month in 2023. Marvel placed a massive 198 issues in the top 25. Once again, DC Comics came in second place by placing only 81 issues in the top 25. This highlights the massive gulf that existed between Marvel Comics and DC Comics in 2023. And here's the real nugget here. Here's the real takeaway. DC Comics cannot be considered legitimate competition to Marvel Comics. Not anymore. Marvel Comics annihilated all other publishers by placing 381 issues in the top 50 during 2023. Marvel Comics just steamrolled all the other publishers. It was not even close. DC Comics took second place by placing just 167 issues in the top 50. The gap between Marvel Comics and DC Comics in the top 50 emphasizes the long climb that DC Comics has ahead of it in 2024. Winning the top 50 is what drives real profit. It is unrealistic to expect DC Comics to transform into legitimate competition for Marvel Comics in the battle for the top 50. But DC Comics must narrow this massive gulf. All right, now top 75. Marvel Comics dominated all publishers with a total of 534 issues in the top 75. Marvel Comics' unrivaled success did not slow down at all in the top 75. DC Comics limped into second place with a total of 260 issues in the top 75. Marvel ruthlessly destroyed all the competition by placing 681 issues in the top 100 during 2023. Marvel Comics made its fair share of mistakes and embarrassing sales failures in 2023, no doubt. But the fact remains that Marvel is the undisputed leader and has no competition at all in the North American comic book market. DC limped into a distant second with just 347 issues in the top 100 during 2023. DC Comics must improve upon this in 2024. It would be nice to see DC Comics do some house cleaning in their editorial staff and finally begin to turn things around in the sales charts. Now, I kind of did some simple math, and what I took from this basically is that in the top 50, for every comic book that DC put in the top 50, Marvel had 2.5 comics for every single DC comic. So more than double what DC sold in the top 50. And then if you expand that out to top 100, it does come down, but it still comes down to right at about 2 Marvel comics in the top 100 for every DC comics. So even in the top 100, Marvel is basically doing double everything DC is doing. Now, top 5 franchises in 2023. The Spider-Man franchise grabbed the coveted first place spot by placing 37 issues in the top 10, 70 issues in the top 25, and 107 issues in the top 50. The Batman franchise came in second with 24 issues in the top 10, 49 issues in the top 25, and 93 issues in the top 50. The X-Men franchise slotted in third with 18 issues in the top 10, 47 issues in the top 25, 89 issues in the top 50. The Avengers franchise took fourth with 9 issues in the top 10, 34 in the top 25, 67 in the top 50. And the Superman franchise finished in fifth with 1 issue in the top 10, 12 issues in the top 25, and 33 issues in the top 50. This is something DC has got to fix. I don't see them really turning things around in a big way if they can't fix the Superman franchise. Now, I mean, okay, behind Spider-Man, okay, behind Batman, all right. Behind X-Men, oh, okay, I guess, but behind Avengers even, Superman should be at least fourth, and really I would say probably third, but I don't see them overtaking the X-Men. Marvel took 3 of the top 5 best-selling franchises. The fight for the number 1 spot was not even close. The Spider-Man franchise, powered by Amazing Spider-Man, blew away all the other franchises. I do not see the Spider-Man franchise slowing down at all in 2024. The X-Men franchise took third place, but this franchise cooled off compared to prior years. It will be a priority for Marvel Comics to reheat the X-Men franchise with their new direction in 2024. The Avengers franchise took fourth place, which is sure to make Marvel Comics happy. The Avengers franchise has rebounded in the sales charts compared to prior years. I do not expect the Avengers franchise to surpass either the Spider-Man franchise or the X-Men franchise in 2024. However, the Avengers franchise should still be strong enough to be a top 5 in 2024. The Batman franchise is still a sales juggernaut for DC Comics as it came in second place. I would expect Batman to continue to retain the number 2 spot through 2024. DC Comics has to be happy to see the Superman franchise crack into the top 5. This is a positive sign for DC Comics as they head into 2024. It is vital that the Superman franchise remain in the top 5. If DC Comics want to avoid completely collapsing into irrelevancy, they need to have at least 2 franchises in the top 5. Ideally, DC Comics could grow the Justice League franchise into a top 5 franchise, but so far outside of Hal Jordan and Princess Diana, DC Comics has struggled to generate much success with their Justice League characters. The success of Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong does suggest that there is a strong reader interest in the classic Justice League characters starring in a team title. It will be interesting to see what DC Comics does with the Justice League franchise in 2024. DC Comics has to do something in light of the Titans franchise utterly failing to have any success as the Justice League replacement in the DCU. Yeah, so they actually have canceled Justice League, and there is no ongoing Justice League book right now. And they've tried to have the Titans take the place of the Justice League for some reason. I don't know why, and it hasn't worked. All right, smallest drop between debut and second issue in 2023. It is interesting that despite Marvel Comics beating the crap out of DC in 2023 every month, that it was actually DC Comics that had the issues with the smallest drops between the debut and second issue in 2023. Superman number 1 debuted at the number 5 spot. Superman number 2 then took the number 11 spot, a difference of just 6 spots. Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong number 1 debuted at the number 6 spot. Number 2 then took the number 12 spot, again a difference of just 6 spots. However, there was one title that did even better than Superman and Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong. That would be Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin number 1 debuted at the number 7 spot. Batman and Robin number 2 took the number 9 spot, a difference of only 2 spots. Now, biggest drop between debut and second issue. These are titles that were simply bad ideas or the product of terrible writers. Take your pick. In 5th place is Steelworks. Steelworks number 2 fell from the number 60 spot to number 147, a difference of 87 spots. In 4th place is Black Panther. Black Panther number 2 plummeted from the number 11 spot to number 99 for a difference of 88 spots. In 3rd place is Silk. Silk number 2 fell from the number 22 spot to number 113 for a difference of 91 spots. In 2nd place is Cap, Wolf, and the Howling Commandos. Number 2 fell from the number 66 spot to number 167 for a monstrous difference of 101 spots. In first place is Blade. Blade number 2 dropped from the number 9 spot to the number 124 spot for a mind-bending difference of 115 spots. All right, now fastest to being unranked. These titles are among rarefied air. It is quite the feat to drop out of the top 200 as quickly as our winners in this category. 2 titles tied for the honor of the fastest title to being unranked. Both titles are from DC Comics. This is no surprise, as DC Comics generally is the factory of bad ideas and the home to unqualified writers. Dang, roasted. Amazon's Attack number 1 debuted at the number 167 spot and was unranked with Amazon's Attack number 2. This result was tied by another DC title in Speed Force. Speed Force number 1 debuted at the number 193 spot and was unranked with Speed Force number 2. Now, Dead Titles Walking, and these are, I believe, titles being published that never make it into the top 200 at all. Marvel Comics had a total of 274 issues out of 826 issues in the Dead Titles Walking category during 2023. This means that 33% of Marvel Comics issues in 2023 were Dead Titles Walking, or about 1/3. DC Comics had a total of 298 issues out of 631 issues in the Dead Titles Walking category. Now, while in terms of raw numbers, DC Comics only had 24 more Dead Titles Walking than Marvel Comics, the difference is highlighted when you compare the percentages. A massive 47%, or nearly half, of DC Comics issues in 2023 were Dead Titles Walking. That is insane. That is almost half of all DC Comics new issues in 2023. This is unsustainable, and it emphasizes the problem that DC Comics has with their editorial staff. It is one bad decision compounded upon another that is crippling DC Comics. Marvel Comics may make some boneheaded decisions at times, but DC Comics is in need of a full house cleaning in order to become a legitimate competitor with Marvel Comics. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty dire for DC Comics. Now, they also covered the ones who came in behind DC and Marvel. Now, Image Comics generally came in third in all these categories, but the results show that they are highly dependent upon their licensed properties. Basically, the stuff they license from Hasbro, mainly the Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff, I think, is mainly what that means, and also Spawn. If you take those away, then they're pretty much coming up even or even running behind IDW, which tends to be 5th place. And after them, you've got Dynamite and some others, but their numbers are so small it's not even worth talking about. But with Image, if you take away their licensed stuff and Spawn, the rest of the stuff they publish is basically no one's buying it. As the article states, this just isn't sustainable, and DC has got to turn this ship around somehow. Now, I don't expect them to ever catch up to Marvel, but back in the day, and when I say that, I'm talking about, say, a decade, 10, 12, maybe 15 years ago, when you looked at the sales numbers, generally, in terms of market share, Marvel was usually around in the mid to upper 50s, 55 to 57, 58, something like that. And then DC would be around mid to upper 30s, something like that. And they would basically have about 2/3 of the sales that Marvel did, around 66%. But what these numbers suggest is that DC has dropped down to where they're doing 50% or maybe even less of what Marvel is selling. And they've got to get back to selling around 60 to 65%. A big part of it, as I said, is they need to get the Superman franchise turned around. And another thing is to bring back the Justice League. Why they canceled Justice League in the first place, I don't understand. It's like they want to tank the company. If you can get Superman being successful again, bring back Justice League and make that successful again, I think that would go a long way towards getting DC back in the game, because if you put your main Justice League characters in the book, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, maybe Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, a few others. If Justice League does well, then you'd see better sales on the Flash, on Green Lantern, on Aquaman, hopefully. And again, that tide would kind of lift them and maybe help them get back in the game. At least that's what I think. Let me know your thoughts on DC's sales struggles. What do you think the remedy is? What can bring them back? Let me know in the comments, and also please like, share, and sub to the channel, and hit the bell. Also, please check out some of my other videos while you're here, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.